And it's Frisky Friday, and I'm going to bring everybody in. Here's George. Here's Mark. Whoop. My hand's slipping here. And Sean. Good morning.
Good morning, all.
Hey, nice shirt you got on there.
Good morning.
I got some mock his.
Well, yeah, I didn't wear mine today. I got just red on.
Yeah, George, I'm still looking for mine. You're leaving me just with my America First
No,
stuff
you
here.
guys listen. You have no idea.
Look at you guys.
Send me send me your address again.
You bet. You'll have it right after the show.
I'm sorry. I'll get it. Yeah.
Oh, no worries. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, so you guys know we got the CEO of Crowds on Demand, Adam Swart's going to be here in a few minutes, and we're going to pop him on. But I thought, being Frisky Friday, I got a really good opening prayer for today because it'll fit really good with the Tesla trauma and the Trump derangement syndrome and all the protests and everything. So you guys will like that. And this is out of the book I got from Palin. She always sends books to us. Anyways, it's anyone who says he's a Christian but doesn't control his sharp tongue is just fooling himself, and his religion isn't worth much. And that's James 1:26. So basically, it's a faith check. And the truth is, we feel the need to vent because of a perceived injustice of some sort. However, if we believe the God we serve is a righteous God, then we should trust that his intentions regarding the situation will ultimately prevail. So everybody has a chapter in their life they don't want to read out loud, and I'm sure you guys all each have one too.
Hey, I'm with George. You're making me feel like maybe I got to work a little harder because sometimes sometimes it's hard to be a good Christian.
Well, yeah, I know. I've got a mouth too, so I know what you're talking about.
Well, a few words aren't the curse, so you know.
I thought you guys liked that one. You all have that mouth. Everybody does. We usually have it on Frisky Friday, so it kind of fit for today.
That was every other word in Brooklyn when we used to speak was that when you ran out of vocabulary, you put that word in. The F-U-C-K word.
Yeah.
Which isn't really a curse. It's fornication under the consent of the king, which the Irish used against the King of England.
Well, you know, psychologically, if you curse like that, it actually is better for you because it gets the rage out of you. And they say, and cursing is a sign of intelligence too. They scientifically.
Yeah.
Almost behind
Really?
George is
you
Einstein.
guys are all high
IQ. George is Einstein.
Call me Einstein.
Damn, yeah, I knew George was smart. I didn't know he was that smart.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, so why do you get to be hanging out down in beautiful Florida when we're all stuck at home?
You know, it's just a little getaway. It's my birthday a couple days ago. It's my wife's birthday a couple weeks before that. So we're just then the campaigning begins soon, so we're not going to be able to get away. So we're enjoying a couple days now.
Okay, I'm going to bring on Adam Swart. He's the CEO of Crowds on Demand, and he's going to tell us all about these weirdos that have been really, causing havoc. Okay, ready?
Excellent.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
Got an earful this morning, didn't you?
Sounds like it. Well, it's great to be on with you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah. We're really happy to have you. We thought maybe you could bring some light on what's going on with the crowds and how come they're so organized and everything.
Pleasure.
Would you want to tell us a little bit about yourself for everybody?
Yeah, so for all your listeners and for you guys, I'm the CEO of Crowds on Demand. So we've been around for 13 years. We're the largest protest company in the country. What we do is we organize advocacy events along with really fun events like PR stunts and marketing events for companies. So we do anything that involves kind of large groups of people demonstrating, oftentimes wearing costumes, and really advocating for a cause, whether it's a company or whether it's a like an actual issue, cause, or candidate. And we've literally been doing this for over 13 years now.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
Wow, that really sounds interesting. Do you do a lot of corporate events and things, not just politics?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do a lot of corporate events. Now, sometimes it's like a corporate issue advocacy type of thing because companies are advocating for things too, or whether it's a policy that benefits them or there's a corporate dispute. And it's a lot of marketing events, product launch type of things. We do a lot of conference kind of launches where it's like you're launching a product at a conference and you want people to pay attention. So we just keep finding new uses for what we do. Everything from politics to business.
Oh, so
That's right.
do you have any idea what's going on with these Tesla people? Do you think that's all organized? I mean, like through a central place?
Well, Trix, it's all organized because all protests are organized. It's impossible to actually put together a large set of demonstrations or a single large demonstration without money and organization. It simply does not happen and has not ever happened. Now, if what you're saying, I guess the nuance here is that the people who are at these Tesla events do agree with the concept of the protest. They sincerely dislike Elon, right? So many of them, they might be compensated to be there. That's for sure. But I think that doesn't negate the fact that they have a lot of qualms about what Elon's doing and what Doge is doing. That doesn't necessarily also mean they're the most articulate advocates of it. So two things can be true at the same time.
Excellent. Well, that brings a good question that I've always had. I've always wondered, Adam, how do they actually distribute the funds usually especially for the more nefarious organizations that are kind of making whipping up these kind of fake crowds just on a few moments notice. How do they actually distribute the funds? Do you have any idea?
Well, sure. Well, Mark, here's part of it is that, and I just want to clarify for your audience here is we don't engage in any illegal activity at Crowds on Demand. We don't do violence or vandalism or block off streets. Even if I wanted to do those things as a business person, it wouldn't behoove me to actually do that, right? Because it would blow back on my business. Now, to your question, I think what you're asking is, if you want to do something nefarious, how would you fund it such as to preserve plausible deniability? Well, it's a good question. And the answer is called Russian dolls, right? So Russian dolls all fold into one another. So what you need to do is you need to keep adding more dolls on top to make it harder to get to the central doll, right? So if I'm some sort of nefarious billionaire funding these something illegal, I would want to have as many layers between me and the person doing the illegal thing.
Yeah, so it's easy to trace the head organizer with all that stuff because they are well organized. They come out in intervals too. It's not that they're all there at once. They actually have shifts. What we saw on one of the past rallies for Tesla. So.
Correct. It is organized. But I guess the way that one of the things that I love coming on these types of shows to make my case is that organized doesn't mean insincere, because you can't essentially have a large demonstration. I mean, if you look at the Tea Party, that was pretty well organized. Were people really upset with what was going on at that time? Absolutely. But it was well funded and it was well organized, right? So you can have a apparatus that is organized and funded, but also have people who are sincere advocates. I think I really do draw the line, of course, when any kind of illegal activity is involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we do it by phone calls right away to get people together. I mean, we don't get noticed until we see on their flyer that they have on their sites. Then we make phone calls and just do what we have to do to show up. That's what happens.
Yeah. And actually, my question was less trying to figure out, how like George Soros, hides his activity in something of more of how could we go and steal money from the leftists by claiming that I'd be happy to go out and burn down a Tesla dealer for you. Pay me my money, and then I throw down my silly slogan sign and put on my MAGA hat and start, cheering for the other side.
Well, candidly, Mark, if they were smart and they were doing what you're talking about, which is hiring people to burn buildings or whatever, I suspect that they keep that at a very far distance, and they're probably using trusted, I say in quotation marks, Antifa activists to do that part. People who, you have to keep in mind, guys, there are people who are actually, and I argue that Antifa is actually apolitical. Oh, there are a lot of groups that are actually apolitical. They attach themselves to BLM, they attach themselves to January 6th. These are people who just want to burn things down, right? And they don't care about the issues. They don't care about what's going on. They just show up and they loot and they make money looting and they just want to burn things. And those people, likely it's those type of people that they're looking at to do those things. I don't have insider information, but I just do know that if you are trying to organize something like that, that's how you do it.
Well, I know they get more money for if they go to jail, and they get like awards for being on the news or being arrested and stuff like that.
Sure.
I know that they get paid extra money for that. So I think that's why the Antifa is so much involved, because they really don't care whether they get arrested or not. So
correct. And one thing a lot of people have to look at, for example, there's this group, and I'm not going to name it on air, but it is a group that is a lawyers group that is actually so far to the left that they make the ACLU look like MAGA, because and this lawyers group which is ironically, they've been involved in Palestine issues, and I suspect they're involved in some other things too. Is this group is basically says, if you do get arrested, they say this publicly, we'll help you get representation and other things. They're 501c4, so 501c4 for your audience is basically a kind of issue political advocacy group. Nothing wrong with that, but they don't have a lot of disclosure requirements, so you really have no idea how those funds are being spent.
Yeah, that's what the excuse of the 501c4 is.
That law's got to get changed.
But Sean, here's my question. Do you want that to change? Because that will only be weaponized against conservatives under the next administration. So my big thing is also, I have to say, because I'm a political independent. I love going on conservative or liberal shows. And the one thing that I want to tell whoever's in power, previously left and now you guys, is don't do anything to them that you wouldn't want them doing to you. And I know the next response is they've already done it to us. But the reality is that if you scale back freedoms, those freedoms are never coming back. So if you now say 501c4 groups can't have to disclose everything, well, you know the next left-wing administration is going to use that to attack conservative activists, just like the Biden administration did.
Yeah, that's why
weaponized everything.
Yeah, we can't be a 501c3 because we're politically, an organization. We are 501c4. But could I mention that the law group you're talking about? Or you want me to wait till you get off the air?
You can mention that I don't like to talk about these lawyers.
No, I know who it is. So I'll wait till you get off the air and then I'll tell everybody.
That's correct.
Well, that's why I asked you first.
Yeah, we don't want to hurt your income.
Usually I don't ask permission, but for you, I'll do it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. But those are absolutely, definitely words of wisdom. I was just hoping that you could give us some inside information on who on the left may be paying up front, because I've got a whole group of MAGA patriots here in the chat that are just chomping at the bit to go down and make some money for, basically turning the tables on them and putting their MAGA hats on and starting to.
It's not as easy as it sounds, Mark, is the reality, because they already know their crowd, and they're probably looking at people who already have a criminal record, if I have to guess, right?
Yeah.
So they're not looking at some family guy who's an auto mechanic or whatever. They're looking at a guy who's probably been to jail a few times on different things and probably wouldn't mind going again if he got the right amount of money for it.
Well, in some cities with the bail reform, it's not even going to jail. They
That's
go
right.
in. It's a turnstile. They go in,
Especially
and they come out.
especially liberal. What do you call left?
Well, look at New York. You look at Seattle.
Sanctuary cities and
Yeah, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Well, is this where you see like the help wanted ads, like on Craigslist and like, you know, put stuff posted online? Is this where they're getting their pool of people from? I understand you're legitimate. You would probably hire people like with a resume and everything, but are they getting a lot of these ones that are the real troublemakers like that way instead of doing it through the professional way?
I think the question is if they're actively recruiting troublemakers, that's a big problem. And I don't even know if they're doing it through Craigslist or they have a what I've heard is that they're using different Antifa networks to essentially be able to find these people who are already Antifa. So it's kind of the illegal version of what we do. So what we do is we talk to, like, if we're doing an environmentalist display, we'll talk to environmentalists and we'll compensate them for coming out to an event that they already support but wouldn't have been able to attend, right? Or similarly, if it's pro-police, they're just likely taking what we do and taking someone who's already a criminal, already wants to burn things down, right? And now they're paying them some amount of money, and it's less than you think because these guys are so motivated to burn things down already.
Oh my!
Well,
I know. I
that
wondered
is
about
really
Harris.
interesting.
I wondered about Harris because she didn't have, you know, the following and everything, but all these, it was massive people that would show up, you know, and when they did the phone field thing where they could see where their phones came from and everything, all these people had attended more, you know, 9, 10, 11 different events and they were busting them in. And that's why I wondered about that, you know, if those were people that were already that they had or professional or they were recruited. I really don't know.
I'll answer that question because those guys that I know, and the answer is a lot of those people are actually employees of the Democratic Party. So one of the realities there is that if you're a union member, for example, or you work as a staffer for Democrats, Republicans do the same thing, by the way. So this isn't just for Democrats, right? But you're expected to go to, you have a 9-to-5 job, let's just say working as a assistant at some state senator's office. You're expected to go to all the demonstrations and all of the rallies that they have. And if you don't go, even though you're not required to by your job, you will find yourself out of a job. And by the way, that's how politics works on both sides of the aisle. So a lot of the people you see at different political events are employees of the party, are paid employees of the party. Now, I suspect if you work for a Democrat state senator, you probably generally agree with that platform, but you're there because you're essentially being paid to be there. And similarly, on the Republican side, again, it's not necessarily bad, but what I think people have to realize, Trix, is that people have a lot of incentives, and there are a lot of groups that essentially they don't pay people by event, but you have a job where you are expected by virtue of your job to attend these events, and you'll be out of your job if you don't.
Yeah, the teachers
Well,
union.
you look at New Jersey, the teachers union. Yeah, teachers union in New Jersey is so powerful, and they donate a lot of money to the Democrat Party. New Jersey state workers, there's a lot that, you know, their union. They're always, you know, I just went by actually 2 weeks ago, the post office in my area. They were out there on a Sunday. They all had red shirts on. They were protesting, keeping the post office, you know, public and not go to privatization and, you know, whatever. But it's all the unions.
That's absolutely right.
The best ones are the ones that are protesting about the Palestine and everything else, and then they're carrying signs of United Auto Workers.
Right. Well, that's one to look at, is why are they involved? See, it's understandable a union would be involved in union matters, right? Matters related to pay or compensation or hours. But what a lot of the left does it better than the right maybe should do it, is all the organizations. So the union will come out to Palestine, and then Palestine will come out to the union. You see what I'm saying? So you essentially make deals where I have my people come. I mean, it's like old school boss Tweed style politics. I mean, it's been around for a while. I mean, this is what used to happen in the 1800s. I'll give you boss Tweed used to run New York, right? And from a place called Tammany Hall, that's what they used to call it. And he had he essentially ran the politics there, and the press started getting wind of it and started exposing it. And one of his aides said, "Boss, aren't you worried about what the press is saying?" And he says, "My constituents can't read. What do I care about the press?"
But so real quick though, going back to the unions, I have two friends. One is in the electrical union, another one's in a heavy equipment union. Okay, operators union, and they would literally get paid time to go not a protest, not a union protest, but to go and hang literature for Democrats.
Sure.
Right through the union.
And this is in New Jersey?
Yes, yeah.
You're saying a New Jersey union is corrupt?
No, is that breaking news? Are we breaking news on this program?
I don't believe it. I'm offended.
No way, George. Sean, come on.
Yeah.
So
corruption in New Jersey. Give me a break.
Yeah, exactly. So Renzulli Construction or something. Yeah.
Easy with the Italian names.
Yeah, there's a couple of them on here.
Yeah. No offense to the Italians.
But at least they only killed each other. They never, what do you call it? The neighborhoods were nice and clean and taken care of.
And that's true. And obviously, as you guys know very well, being kind of on the front line of the MAGA movement, you guys know that the unions are sort of changing, and they've always kind of had this alliance between the unions in the Democrat Party, where it's kind of like the unions will provide the foot soldiers on the ground, and the Democrats will essentially help for the unions. But there's a lot of the policies, including these sort of the Palestine issue or social issues now, where I think your average electrical union member might not 100% be on board with the Democrat position. But the challenge that union members have is that the management, for the most part, is completely aligned with the Democratic Party, because there are these sort of backroom deals there. So the membership doesn't like it, but the management likes it. So they've got to figure out a way to wean themselves off of that for sure. But back to the idea of protesting, this is essentially how they do manpower. So a lot of my friends in California, people ask me who are not from California, conservatives, said Gavin Newsom's going to get recalled for sure, right? Because of all of what he's done. I said the recall has zero chance because it's a special election and the votes are basically in before the election is there, because the unions are essentially, they all tell their people to vote Democrat no matter what, right? So that's just how California works. Now, in fairness, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a similar arrangement in Mississippi on the Republican side. So I'm playing both sides here, but this is how it works in California. It's very, very hard to win as a Republican.
Well, and Adam, I agree that it probably happens on both sides, but unfortunately, at least from my perspective, I think the Democrats are just a whole lot better at it, a whole lot more organized at it than the Republicans are. But we have a lot of people in chat saying, agreeing with you. I see Red Ginger saying she can attest to unions in LA being forced to campaign for candidates and even go out of state and do so. So
that's right.
They all do, but a lot of them vote for what they believe in. A lot of the construction workers voted for Trump. They didn't, I don't think they voted for, and the reason why the unions do that is because they are guaranteed the work that is done by the government. Like whoever's, they get guaranteed jobs, like say airport work and everything else, but they forget about all the local jobs that the illegals do on the books, off the books and stuff.
That's right.
And they lose a lot of work with these other small jobs. And some of the buildings were done by non-union work. I mean, in fact, Trump came out of a limo one time when we were protesting a rally. He came out and held the picket sign.
There you go. Well, you got to be worried about unlicensed work, because you get a lot of the tech sites have actually made it very easy for people who aren't licensed to market themselves as electricians. I actually almost hired one myself for my house, and when they started to talk about what they were doing, and I know I'm not a handy person by any means, but when they were telling me about how they were going to run the wire, I was like, that doesn't sound right. I was like, are you guys licensed? And they said no. And I was like, if I'm correcting you, you must be really bad.
You go work like a contractor that has an electrical contractor. He has the license, or he buys somebody's license, and then you can work under that license. So you don't have to be a
right.
Well, and that's how it works. I mean, there's plenty of guys that go for the. I mean, I went for it too, but you farm out your license, and,
Sure.
so they can do that work. Also, if they're not with the steam fitters. Yes, they're very strict with that. Operating engineers are strict with that. Carpenters like this, and even the laborers too. That doesn't matter. But the ones that need the license, that they could do a work in the building as long as they have the license, and then have workers under them. It doesn't matter. Like the guy you experienced, he might, I'm telling you, I don't know why.
That's some other guy who's ultimately responsible. It's like in the real estate industry, you have a broker who's responsible for all the actions of his agents, right?
Yeah, correct. Yep, that's the same thing. It's all the same system, but it's.
ML Heath had a good question there in the chat about, is there even a Republican Union?
No.
Well, there probably will be. I mean, the closest the Republicans have had actually has been some of the evangelical church networks are pretty good at getting out turnout. So and protests, right? I mean, you have some of these very well-known pastors who are pretty good at saying, hey, we're all going to turn out here. We're all going to attend these sort of rallies and advocate. So I think the church network is probably the closest thing Republicans have to unions at this point. And I think it's smart that the Democrats have kind of done this with the unions, because you can guarantee attendance at certain rallies and protests and guarantee a baseline of votes. But as you said, those votes aren't there anymore. And certainly on the Republican side, you have the churches where you have people who are very very engaged and really pushed by the church leaders there.
Yeah, well,
but, I would argue also, though, that I think we're going to have to start having some Republican unions with President Trump, and especially after Liberation Day, or we'll call it Liberation Week now, when we're going to start bringing all of these high-paying manufacturing jobs back, and especially, the UAW, huge here. I'm just north of Detroit here, Adam, and I just I have a feeling that there's going to be a big swing with a lot of unions that are going to be very pro-Republican, if not its leadership. Well, some of the leadership even.
I'm
But
going to have to cut you off, Mark. We're holding
okay.
them over to then what I told them. So I was trying to bump in there before you start talking again. So, all right. Thank you so much for coming on, Adam. We really appreciate it. And anytime you want to come back, just get a hold of us, and you're more than welcome to come on, because I'm sure this is going to keep continuing.
Anytime, I'll answer listener questions next time for sure, because I've heard great things about your listeners.
Yeah, we got a good chat. They're probably the smartest online around. That's all I can say.
I love it.
Yeah, and we're getting a lot of positive input about you, Adam. A lot of people thanking you for coming in.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Anytime, guys. You guys have a great weekend here.
Great meeting you, Adam.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
That was good.
Yeah, that was good. We already hold them over than what I told them. That's why I was trying to cut in there. I didn't know if he had something else going. So, but what he's talking about, I thought that was pretty good. But I want to show you something. Like, probably these are the people that are protesting.
Dear Elon, I thought you'd want to come face to face with me, boy. You're your boyfriend, no doubt. Lies. Oh, and I'd see right through them, and you know I would. Would it be a dream come true if you met me in person? Would it?
When a dream becomes, she said a dream come true. That's when a dream becomes a nightmare.
I saw that face and I was like, what the hell? Oh my God.
Thanks, Trixie. You can't unwatch that. I might have
I know
nightmares
I
tonight.
traumatized everybody for the weekend now.
Yeah, thanks for ruining my weekend.
Oh man. Woo.
Oh, ain't enough.
That's why you guys want me picking
Ain't
clips,
enough,
right?
ain't
Guys?
enough beds to cover that one. Let me tell you. Oh,
Man. Oh,
Yeah.
well. My iPad muted it to start with. I thought that was a man until I hit the mute and I could hear the voice. Oh God. Ah.
I don't know. That
Oh
could have
man.
been a toss up either way. That could have been a
Oh,
coin flip.
I thought it was funny.
too
Some of
much.
the stuff you find on the internet. Okay, I'm sorry. Now what you guys want to say?
Well, I'm in
Everybody's
shock.
speechless.
Yeah, I'm in shock. I took the words right out of me.
It's too much. He brought up a couple of very good points about organizing with the situations with all this. Now, what the right is now they're going to do is they're not going to hit Teslas anymore. They're going to go to certain locations. Like Saturday morning, they're coming to the courthouse to protest Elon and Trump, but not the Tesla dealers. That's going to be the new thing that they're doing. That's what they're coming out with now, because it's like they finally realize they're protesting the dealer that's supposed to be saving the environment. That's supposed to be what was pushed so much hard for the left. That was unbelievable. So it took them how many weeks to realize it? Like 5 weeks.
Well, I don't know if a lot of people don't realize that, but the Tesla dealerships are all Tesla. Like Ford dealerships, they're owned by they may have a
Yeah,
dealer or other
yeah.
automotive dealerships. Tesla's all owned by Tesla. There's no franchising, but yeah, they're probably going to change their tune a little bit because a lot of people have been more in support, I think, with some of these protests than non-support, right?
I'm still laughing at that lady.
I have to tell you, Trixie, that you traumatized a lot of people in chat there.
Yeah, I think the
Flo
chat,
said they feel better about
but
themselves in the morning now
yeah,
when
but
they look in the mirror.
Beach Cat
60% of the
Blues, make
chat
it
dropped
stop,
out.
make it stop. Angels were to see, got a lot of OMGs,
Yeah,
but
they
also the
just got
consensus is that is in fact a man.
how you like my
Um,
Crockett eyelashes?
You know what? I don't know what it is with these eyelashes. So
Oh my
we
God.
were at the pool
Crazy.
yesterday. We were at the pool yesterday, and this I don't know. I guess they were probably maybe 23, 24 tops, and this couple comes up, and it's guy and this girl, and the girl had these eyelashes. I think they were worse than Crockett's, to tell you the truth. And I said to my wife, I said, could you imagine kissing her, all of a sudden the eyelash comes off, and you open your eye, and the eyelash is like on her nose at some point. Like
You
I
think
don't
it
know.
was a spider?
Like yeah, I
well,
don't know how these people think it looks good. I don't know. It's a little
I don't know.
and
little
what's she
crazy.
doing by the pool? She's not going to swim with those things, or she'd probably go backwards,
Yeah,
like swim
maybe
fins.
maybe she uses them as flippers. Maybe she would blink a lot, and she would use them as
Yeah.
flippers.
Cool. Oh, let you cool yourself off the sun.
Yeah, yeah. Talk about instant shade, right?
Yeah. I got something for you guys. You know, it was opening week for baseball. You guys know I'm a baseball freak, right? So
Yep.
I'm gonna show this.
Tigers.
Yeah, the Tigers. Yeah, they're on at 1 today. So guess what I'm doing?
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if I never come back. It's root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. Or it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball
Yeah, I
Play
just thought
ball.
we'd do.
Ooh. Good
Yeah,
thing
he's
he
not a good
decided to go
singer,
into
but
politics instead of singing.
yeah, that's for
He would have been
everybody for
broke as a
baseball.
singer.
What?
He would have been broke as a singer. There would have
Yeah.
been no more Lago.
Oh,
Well, that's why he does the DJ at the Mar-a-Lago. He comes out with that little iPad and he walks up on the balcony and he starts changing the music. You know, he's even got it on the golf cart too. He has these big boom speakers on there. They replace them.
How about yesterday? Marine One landing at the golf course where he's at, and Doral there. And did you see that video of that?
Yeah, that was so
Him
cool.
getting off and walking into a golf cart. That was pretty cool. We're not too far from there. I kept on telling my wife, I was like, should we leave the pool and go see, Marine One fly into the golf course, and she wasn't biting. But I wanted to drive over, but she wouldn't go.
Hey, Sean, did you notice how the guy that was waving the helicopter in was actually wearing a suit? It looked like a Secret Service guy or something.
That's what I think it was. Yeah, that's what I would think it was. Probably a Secret Service guy.
You know,
Yeah, that was really cool.
you guys liked it when Frank was on. Everybody in the chat really liked that, you know. And so Frank's going to be coming on, but we got something that we're going to do different because of Frank. And if you guys don't mind, I'm going to do it right now. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Everybody ready?
It's gonna be good.
What the fuck? I'm losing my shit.
Oh.
This is what happens when government DI hires have to go fill out an actual job application and get to real work. There you go. Look at this video resume. Her skills are top notch. Anyone else notice that Bobby the Builder with an eye over here has the worst carpentry skills ever? Is this an attempt for some lesbian to prove how she doesn't need a man in her life? Because she almost fell fucking trying to drill into this hollow stud. It's still crooked. This is her second attempt. You can see the holes above it, and they're both still crooked as shit. And then here comes the flag. I just threw up in my mouth. Fucking loser it is. Nope. Is this a fucking grinder ad? Or is she trying? We're just missing a Subaru in this commercial. So Uncle Pedro comes in today to tell the pregnant girl at the store how Trump is the devil and all of his gay friends are losing all their abortion rights. Go figure. Let's see what happens.
Hi. It's okay. Why did they sell Trump stuff as a joke?
No,
Why are they selling?
because we're Trump supporters.
Why?
We're conservative.
Do you know how evil he is? He's very evil.
Okay.
Yeah, seriously, he's the devil. And I can guarantee you how he's hurting a lot of my friends. He doesn't care about anybody. He's very cold. You guys are not going to have any business. I guarantee you. You should take it all down.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Welcome to the circus.
It doesn't matter whether we're having a good day or a bad day, as long as we can learn yet another way to be kind to ourselves.
Seriously. Do you guys think the Woodland Fairy got a hold of some crack out in the woods? By the looks of it, this fairy hasn't had very many good days, I can tell you. Just looking at the outfit, he's wearing a tutu, he's dressed like a Woodland Fairy on crack. I can call him a fairy, it's okay. Do we even go into this man's outfit and the way he's got his legs crossed to these high heels? Everything is just bad with this guy. If you dress like this and walking around, you wonder why you have bad fucking days. He's a very colorful mime, too. I didn't know that they spoke. This one must have escaped the Diddy part. He must have been entertainment.
That was our fun for the day.
You know,
No way.
that guy really
And-
blew it. That guy really blew it because he didn't put on stockings.
But of course, his legs, he's having balls. Tell you that much. His balls are very tiny, or they disappeared. But of course, with those legs like that, let me tell you, ain't happening. You see how Trump sits all the time. JD Vance sits all the time.
Yeah,
Mother-
man spread, right? Man
that's right.
spread or whatever you call it.
Man-spanning.
Man spread. Yeah.
Right at Mike, and you get
Yeah, was
back.
that mansplaining or woman-splaining with that guy? I don't know.
Well,
I'm
it's
not sure which one it was.
man-spanning.
Yeah.
And then when you're sitting there with your man span and you start telling a woman how to do something, then that's the mansplaining.
Yeah.
Well,
That's funny.
I'm gonna tell who won the trivia from yesterday
But
before we
hey,
run out.
real quickly, Trixie, do I understand that is going to be a regular segment from here on out?
What?
Losing
You're
shit.
losing your
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Didn't you like the little poop emoji thing I made? I thought that was hilarious.
The voiceover sounded like George for a second. I thought that was George saying.
Yeah,
I was losing my shit when I got a.
yeah. Frank doesn't hold back, does he?
Oh,
You should have saw me lose my shit at the.
That's why I love him.
I almost had that fruitcake sign there. But
all right. Well, the question from yesterday was what 3 presidents have been impeached and there was 3 of them. So it was Trump, Clinton, and the third one was Andrew Johnson. And the first one that came up with it was TSM. So TSM, you won this week. So there you go. So that's your prize this week. George, what are you giving them? Because I'm too cheap with the $100 bill.
Well, we could do 2 things. You could get, we have a hat called Defend the Border.
Or if you want to go retro.
Yeah, if you want to go that. Or we got, yeah, that's right.
Well, I guess TSM, go ahead and just put in the chat which one you want, I guess. Otherwise, you're going to get a $100 bill out of me.
The $1,000 bill. You want that? Pick what you want. Let me know. Let Trixie know. She'll let me know.
Well, you know what? We've got the email account at Wake Up Patriots too. Hang on, I'll put it underneath the bottom, and then you could write it down if you can't remember it. Oh, where did I put it? So you can use that. I'll just run that underneath. Anybody's got questions or any kind of stuff like that, just go ahead and use that email. And then I check it every day, so I'll find it. But I think we were going to do, we got to do, what is it? The Trump truths too.
Yeah.
Okay. You ready for Trump truth?
Somebody's watching me. 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 Somebody's watching me.
There it is.
There it is. So this came in first thing in the morning yesterday after Liberation Day. As you can see right there on the screen, the operation's over. He's talking about basically our economy and our manufacturing sector. The patient lived and is healing. The prognosis that the patient will be stronger, bigger, better, and more resilient than ever before. Make America great again. And a lot of people, and I got to agree with them, think that this might be one of the biggest things that Trump has ever done, and maybe a turning point for our country to get us back on track to save our butts. And so, historic times we're living through.
Yep. I got a text yesterday from a friend of mine who's all against all this stuff going on with the tariffs and all. I said, do a screenshot and let's talk in a year about this, because you're going to say you're going to be thanking them in a year.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, people don't realize we never paid taxes till after the year 1913. Our country survived on tariffs.
Yep.
And that's what happened. So after, well, they said they were collecting the taxes because of the war that was going to happen and all that stuff, everything else.
That was supposed to be temporary, George, right? Because of the war.
Everything. So was a lot of stuff.
We just need it temporary, but
yesterday
temporarily for 60 or 80 years.
But you know what it amazes me is how powerful the money is. So yesterday, people know I was at the hearing about this bill. It was called 1181, and Florida and New Hampshire are the only 2 states that don't have no fault insurance. So that means if a car hits a car, and like there's 15% of people in Florida that don't have insurance. So then it would fall under the no fault, but since you don't have no fault. So if a car hits a biker, and now when a biker gets hit, it's known as trauma. So it's a whole big, more expensive things. And the lawyers turn around because of the medical bills come in. They tell them to file for bankruptcy because there's no way in the world they're going to collect that money about the biker. So if the car has no insurance and hits a biker, because you got to carry this thing called PIP insurance, which is like only covers 10,000, but if you get the no fault, it follows under the state. And there are some people down there do have medical coverage, but it doesn't cover. You're still reliable for the bills and everything else. So they were saying is we went there. I mean, there was another guy that spoke, and I know him a long time, but our political views are very different. And what it is because we're bikers, we're still considered brothers, and we're fighting for the same thing, which they did pass it yesterday. So now it's got to go to the Senate. We heard Ron DeSantis is going to veto the bill. And the reason why is because a lot of these people are getting a lot of money for the insurance companies. Because Florida was the first state that took Trump off of the ballots, which a lot of people don't know that. So what happens is, somebody hit us with $20.
Sure.
Angels Awareness just rang the bell with a $20 donation. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Shard.
Angels.
Yeah. So
Thank
what
you.
happens?
Thank you. Look
What
at
happens
that.
with the
Thank
insurance? There's so much money about the insurance in here because when I spoke, I turned around. I got my Constitution. I said it's the Constitution that all you representatives took the oath on was about we the people, not we the insurance companies. I said my heart bleeds that State Farm made $8.2 billion with a B, and uh, and Geico made $4.7 billion on profit. But they were claiming there was an advocate there for the insurance companies, which we found out he spoke. If I knew I wish he would have spoke before me, but he didn't. We spoke, so they had the rebuttal. And he comes up and he speaks and found out he became one of the award-winning advocates for insurance company and got paid $1.4 million for the year. So
It's pretty good.
yeah, well, we all know it's all about the money, and so does the real estate. There's so much building in Florida now that these home builders are paying off a lot of people. So we're trying to stop these issues. Which last week we had 160 bikers there on the steps, and I represented 1.5 million bikers in Florida, which is about 3 million voters if you count their wives and stuff. So we were pushing about how important who we represent and how many voters we represent, and 3 million is nothing to laugh at,
No.
Plus, we're very associated with the MAGA movement also, so they know about that. And there's a lot of states that are Republicans that hate the MAGA movement. Trust me what I'm telling you, because I've been around at a few states and visit the Republicans. They're stopping people from coming into their Republican meetings, MAGA, if they find out they're MAGA.
Oh.
So this is what we're dealing with. That's why I said just because Trump got won, people better not sit on their ass. They better get rocking and rolling because this is.
Well, there's going to be more. There's going to be more now. More challenging fighting for Trump now with these tariffs because you got a mix of people now that are kind of trying to, the stock market going down a little bit right away. They're jumping on with Trump, but things will come back because it's going to be all buying opportunities. They're going to come back.
You got to understand about the stock market, okay? Which I did a lot of work for them. And don't forget, besides them dropping the amount of money of the stock that goes down, then they go back and buy a whole bunch more, and they make the money on that stuff and everything else.
Yep.
But it's a game.
Big fish.
Yeah, what they do is a game to find out, to tell people, or to tell Trump, yo, you can't control us. And Trump turns around and says, all right, let's try this. And he did the thing about the tariffs. So they turned around and made the market drop like 1,600 points. So
Well, you guys are always talking about the money, but like we remember about Social Security, about how many people are getting ripped off with that.
Yeah.
I'm under 29 years old, and there's 12.5 billion of us waiting for money. Our Social Security checks. Elon Musk, you suck. You stop my money. We're all dying. I'm under 29 years old, and
that guy needs his money. That guy needs his. Look at him. He needs his money. He can't afford to eat. He can't afford to eat, this poor guy.
He was all bones and bones.
Yeah, he needs some food.
And then these idiots at Tesla are holding them signs. I want to save my Social Security and my Medicare. I told them, I said, they're saving money. They gave illegals the Social Security numbers so they could collect the money for Social Security and the Medicare stuff.
Well, that just shows you how organized it is because I talked to the same type of people in New Jersey about that. They had signs up about that. So it's that whole protest against Tesla is very organized.
Oh yeah, big time.
Oh, then he says it sounds like George.
Hey, oh yeah, it does sound like George. I think George is doing voiceovers behind the scenes. I don't know.
I thought it was George at first until I saw how skinny he was.
Mark, I saw Mark put in the chat about an update coming at the end of the show for Nashville. I think Mark should put like a caveat on that, like make sure there's so many likes hit beforehand or something, like, you know.
Yes, actually, the latest breaking news is that hitting the like button, every time you hit the like button, gets you 100 miles closer to Nashville. Just saying.
No, it's very
Yeah,
important for
Trixie, I
everybody.
might have spilled the beans just a little bit. Denise was asking, so I used the N word
Yeah,
in
well,
chat.
it moves us
The
up on the
Nashville
board.
word.
Yeah.
Check-
Oh, well,
check-
yes, the Nashville
Not
word.
the
Thanks
N
for
word.
correcting
Not
me.
the N word. The Nashville word.
The other N word. Yeah, the
Well, if you want to
Nashville
do
N
the
word.
update right now, go ahead because we got 8 minutes left, and then we can talk after you do that. Then
Perfect. Do you by chance have that graphic
no.
with the dates?
Well, yeah, I did, but I got sidelined this morning. What the hell did I do?
Okay. Well, let me just give the latest Nashville update. Hopefully, Trixie can get the graphic with the suggested dates up so I don't forget them. But right now, we are working with a few different things. First of all, Redneck Riviera, I'm hoping to hear back from them. We're hoping to do a live broadcast from John Rich's place, maybe even from the roof of it, overlooking the honky tonk row there in Broadway in Nashville. It might not happen because they typically want money for that and maybe way too much money. But if not, no matter what, we are going to do something in Nashville. I'm looking into various blocks of rooms right now. We have a few requests for proposals in. If we can't do Redneck Riviera or one of the other honky tonks there, I think we're going to probably rent a presidential suite at one of the hotels right there in the heart of downtown, and we'll do our broadcast from there. And we'll try to get a group rate for all the different Patriots. But to get there, the most important thing is we need to have a good head count. We have to have an idea of who is going to be able to get
Yeah,
there.
let's go with the dates. What were the dates so everybody can write it down?
Okay, just so you don't have the graphic there, let me look at
No.
what I put you. I believe let me this would just take a second. I thought we might have a graphic there. Because frankly, I'm not remembering. I believe one was darn. Let me look at my email that I sent to you, Trixie.
Oh, I could probably pull it up faster then.
You might be able to, but I'm getting there. Let's see here.
Yeah, I just want to give the dates while we got the banner going on the bottom so everybody can figure out. I can't get it up.
I think I got it here. Yep, Wake Up Patriots Nashville. Okay, proposed dates would be either June 26th through 28th. So that is arriving on Thursday, June 26th. We do our broadcast on the morning of the 27th, which is Friday, and then people can either fly out on the 28th, or if you want to stay with your significant other or family or whatever, you're obviously welcome to extend your room. The other one, if people can write it down, would be September 11th through 13th. I think something to keep in mind is September is going to be probably better weather. It can get pretty hot in Nashville in the middle of June or late June. But either one of those, I think, are good. If we could get a vote, if you could send in your what you want to Wake Up Patriots 2 at Gmail, and whatever the most people want, we'll pick that date. We'll try to lock in some group rates at some hotels, and we'll get the show on the road.
9/11 I can't make because
I know a lot of people don't want 9/11. I know that.
Yeah.
No, because I got rallies to do here. So
What was the first
All
date?
right,
'Cause you
that one's out. June 26th through 28th. And if that doesn't work for a lot of the different Patriots, we can throw some other ones out there. My very wise wife suggested I had 6 alternative dates, but my wise wife suggested, Mark, if you throw 6 dates out there, you're going to split all your Patriots among 6
Yeah.
different things, and you're never
Yeah,
going to
keep
get
it
to
simple.
one. You know.
Oh, we could do the week after the 18th, September 18th.
Yeah, I wouldn't fly on 9/11. I'll tell you that if I was
Okay. I usually make it a point to do it, but that's just me.
I think June would be good. I think June would be good before the. Yeah, I think
Well,
June would work out. You know, if I mean, that's just
Okay, I'm
my
seeing
pulse.
CNC
Right,
Clower
right.
saying June 26th to 28. Monami is saying June.
yeah, there's a couple that are
Red
saying
Ginger was hoping
cheaper
for
in the
August.
fall.
So why don't we ask all the Patriots to do this? Write in with whether the June date, June 26 and 28 will work for you. If not, make some suggestions, and hopefully by Thursday, then Trixie can, we'll work behind the scenes. We'll see what the best date among everybody is, and either Thursday or next Frisbee Friday, we'll announce the date that we have, and I'll get to work trying to get us some
There's a lot of
packages.
graduations at the end of June, so I got to watch
You know,
that.
unfortunately, any date is going to be good for some and not good for
Oh yeah,
someone
that's why
else.
Well,
we
how
just
about
got to go
October?
with whatever works the best.
Yeah.
What would October? Well, October would be cheaper.
September 8th.
First week in October would be good, but it starts getting cool even in Nashville.
September 18th, I
Proud's
think.
got
would be cool.
Proud's a poet. Proud said June too soon. Proud's a
Okay,
poet.
well, you know what? If Proud says June is too soon, then June is too soon.
Well, everybody just go ahead and put your stuff in the email, what you think, and we'll go over it. And
For a lot of people, because there's a lot of graduations going in June. So
Well, that's true too. That's
September
true
would-
too. There's
September-
graduation.
September be like September
Every
18th, I think will be clear from everybody because
Yeah.
there's no any kind of holidays or any graduations or anything else like that. But
unless we do it toward the end of November, because it's after the election, so I could tell everybody if I won or lost.
Yeah, but that would be a little on the chilly side, but we can survive it. It does snow in Nashville. I used to live there a long time ago.
Yeah, but if we're going to be inside, it really doesn't matter if it's in the fall. But I don't know. It doesn't matter to me because I'm going either way. But as long as what everybody else wants to go,
I'm seeing a lot of people like Denise and Red Ginger saying too close to the holidays and stuff. It's starting to look like maybe the first week in October is starting to look better and better. But please, everybody, FL for Trump loves Florida. I mean, loves October. So it looks like most of the chat is kind of zooming in on late September, early October. But so maybe if people could kind of focus on that area so we can kind of herd as many kittens into one group as we can and kind of go from there.
yeah. And if you want to go and you're planning on going or you're pretty sure you're going to go, put it in. Could you email so that Mark has a number of people so he knows exactly?
Yeah, and the more Patriots we get, obviously, the better buying power we have. I do want to give a warning that Nashville hotel rates are always pretty high. It's Nashville, and obviously, the closer we are to Broadway, and which is kind of this for those that haven't been in Nashville, Broadway is pretty much the center of everything. So the closer we are to Broadway, obviously, prices are a little higher, but if you stay way away, then there's the transportation costs. So there's a trade-off. But so rates are you expect to definitely pay more than 200 and maybe around 300 a room. But we're gonna see what we can get for and Insider myself, the Nutcracker is asking, can we share rooms? And the answer is absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, people that are driving in, you don't even have to stay in the blocked rooms. You can stay at a Super 8 10 miles out if you want and drive in. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So it'll just
although
be
the more of us we can get into a block, obviously the better buying power we have.
Yeah.
And hopefully discounted buying power.
Yeah.
Okay. We got that cleared up. Now who else wants to say something?
Okay. Yeah. Somebody say something fun. George, entertain us.
Entertain us. Well,
Pole dance.
yeah, I'll give you one here.
How about I show you the? Wait a minute. Let me see here.
Oh.
If you want entertainment,
Look at that. Sean's gonna torture us.
if you want entertainment,
Hey,
look
wait,
at that.
that's my Trump. Battling Trumps.
That wouldn't be bad to wake up to every day.
Correctness, and this country doesn't have time either.
Nice. Don't you wish you could live like that, Sean, all the time?
What's that?
Don't you wish you could live like that all the time?
Oh my God! I said that we went to a restaurant we wanted to go forever, and last night, and Joe's Stone Crab in Miami, and every time we come down, we can never get in, and we got in, and I said to my wife, I said, "What a life to be living like that every day," you know. People do it. The lady show. It was actually kind of interesting. Our waitress, because my wife says to the waitress, "Have you ever seen any famous people here?" And she looks at my wife like, "Oh yeah, like breathing." So my wife says, "Oh well, who have you seen?" She goes, "Oh, I have a list." She goes, "You want to see it?" She pulls her iPhone out, and she has a notes section. She starts scrolling through and showing us. So it was funny. The first person that was on the list was Robert De Niro, and I'm like, I could tell our waitress probably wasn't a Trumper, right? To say the least. So, but she was nice, and the first one was Robert De Niro, and I was like, "Oh, Robert De Niro," and she said, "Oh yeah, I was so excited," and oh my god, so anyway, she goes through she's showing us the list, like you're scrolling through her phone. Oh my gosh, there was so many people in there, but the people that I remember seeing were Billy Joel, obviously De Niro, because I mentioned that. Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Rob Gronkowski. There were a couple, obviously athletes. Did I say Billy? Yeah, I said Billy Joel. But Bezos was one. Jeff Bezos was one. But but the list was long. And the last one she had, the last celebrity she recently saw was Downtown Julie Brown from MTV days. Remember that? Downtown.
Yeah, I
Never heard of
remember
her.
her.
But
Well,
anyway,
I gotta cut everybody off. It's 4 after, so we probably should sign off.
have a great day, everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you,
Enjoy.
Trixie, for
Yeah, I'll see you Sunday
all
there.
everything you do here.
I'll see you Sunday, George. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go.
let me know.
Well,
Let me know where you want me to meet you. I'm bringing the bike tomorrow.
So we're leaving Miami probably around 10. So we'll be up there probably around 12.
It's gonna be 4.5 hours on a bike. So.
all right.
Wow.
Adios.
All right.
See you
Good
guys
day,
next
Patriots.
Thursday.
God bless y'all. God bless
Very
America.
important like buttons.
Hit the
Oh
like.
yeah. Hit the like button. Up, up, up.
Yeah, thumbs up. We have to maybe show a picture what it looks like. Get out of the chat.
Hey, let Mark with the thumbs up. I don't know how Mark does that, and I can't do
Well,
it.
you can't do the like button when you're in the chat. You gotta get out of the chat, hit the like
It's just it's a special skill I have, George.
You got
But I
a
guess we do got to
superhero.
go. So God bless
All right.
America. God bless you, Patriots, and God bless the President of the United States, Donald Trump.
And God
Bye
bless
bye.
you.
Adios.
Adios. Bye, everybody. You got to close out or what? What's the story? Do the close out.